So you probably can't see me over the podium, but I'm here. This is what I look like in heels. So today I am going to talk to you about Gatsby Preview and what we want to do with that and where we're going, some of the problems we've heard. It was great talking to all of you today in the unconference session as well. We did 2 different unconference sessions on Gatsby Preview, which was great to hear comments and questions, and we love hearing feedback and getting that curiosity. So just a quick introduction, a little bit about me. My name is Marissa. I'm a product manager at Gatsby, and I've been working on Preview for the past little while now with the cloud team as well. And so we've been taking some time talking to developers, talking to content managers, understanding the workflow between both content managers and developers so that we're able to give them something that makes their life better at work, basically. So just a quick recap of what we've talked about today. We've heard a lot about static sites and using Gatsby and how great it can be. We know that static site generators are great for building web apps, where they're able to be highly performant, great for security, they give increased flexibility, and in a lot of cases it's a better developer experience. But what we do know too is that creating and sharing previews of content is really difficult. And going in between teams can be very difficult as well. So right now, previewing content on static sites is not as easy as it should be. And there aren't as many great solutions as we'd like, and a lot of times people are having to create their own solutions within their own companies. So we wanted to help kind of fill in that gap and make it easier. So to do that, we talked to a lot of developers and content managers, as I said a minute ago, but our ultimate goal of Gatsby Preview is to make it easier for content marketers to edit and review their content without the aid of front-end developers. We want to be able to make sure that the front-end developers have autonomy to create and work on what they need to work on in their own business or in the business as well, while giving content marketers the ability to go off on their own and create what they need to create without having to interrupt and pull the front-end developers away from what they're doing. So when we talked to people, we heard a few problems that came up over and over again, and I'm going to talk through those and then kind of show you how we are trying to solve that. So first problem. The site doesn't always correctly reflect all the changes they want in a preview. So sometimes we're looking at different pieces of a site in the CMS rather than the whole site, which can be really difficult if we're trying to see how content loads and as well as images. So, and then in addition to that, sometimes previewing content means publishing then unpublishing your content. So we talked to people that are using aren't able to have any preview at all right now. And what they told us they would do is they would sometimes publish, they'd make their change, they'd publish, get everybody to look at it, and then unpublish it. So it's not an ideal workflow. It's not the best way to go through things, and it's probably not a best practice either. So if we can help people not have to do that, that's great. So I'm going to try to show you this demo. It's recorded, so let's hope that it goes. And this is how Preview is able to show you pretty much close to instant updates and also show you the entire page. So you can see that it's going to load the image, load the copy, and then when I go in, and this is on Contentful, we also have Sanity right now too, you can go in and make your changes, and it'll let you know when the preview has actually updated to begin with. And then in addition to that, it'll update on the preview URL. I did this on airplane Wi-Fi, so just so you know, it still works pretty good even when you have that type of Wi-Fi too. So you can also go in and change your images. So this is a required image, and so we can go in and change this image, and then when we go back into the preview URL, we just have to refresh it because it's going to show like, oh no, we can't find it. And when you refresh it, it comes back up with the new image. So this allows you to see how copy and content changes are working. All right. So next problem. Front-end developers have to help with preview and edits. So we heard from a lot of people, content marketers and front-end developers, that they were, front-end devs were getting pulled into these conversations like, hey, can you help me fix this thing and make this edit for me because I'm not able to do it and I need to see what it looks like. So that's the first problem. The second problem is sometimes that has then turned into the development team creating a preview solution on their own that they can just use in-house. So there's initial time lost up front from doing that, and then in addition to that, there's obviously going to be maintenance and stuff as well. So we want to make sure that that problem doesn't exist anymore. So the solution to that is being able to run the updates in your CMS. When you go in, you can update the copy. So this would be the content marketer in the CMS itself, and they are making an update. You can see at the bottom that it shows that the preview is updated, and now they scroll down and it's just going to open the URL for them. So what this means is that now, instead of having to go to someone else to try to get help, they're able to just create that edit for that entire page without having to go to anybody else. So it gives them that autonomy that we want them to have in order to be in charge of their own workflow. All right. So next problem that we heard is that some people we heard actually made their coworkers crowd around their desk to see changes. So they would make this change on their own computer, and then they would make people come in and just like look at the change. They couldn't email it, they couldn't send it, there was nothing really that they could do with it. So that's a waste of everybody's time. It's also probably not the best way to get feedback because people are just kind of crowding around screen, looking at the image, looking at the updates, and trying to sign off on it right there. So we have now the ability to invite team members so that you can actually share the preview URL more easily. So you can invite team members onto Gatsby, so you can have like your whole team on there. And then in addition to that, it generates that preview URL that you're able to share. So it makes it much easier for people to go in and actually participate in the conversation and be managed through that account. So this is just an example of being able to invite a team member, and then if, let's say that you decide you really don't like your team member, you can also revoke that invite so that they can't get into the account anymore. All right. Then the next problem that we heard from people was that it's hard to demo changes to clients. So we've talked to a lot of agencies as well, and I know we had some speakers today that are running some agencies too. And what we've heard is that trying to demo the changes to clients can be really, really difficult. There's, again, the need to either create a preview solution that you can give to the client, and that feedback loop is very difficult and very long. So instead of having to either share the screen and push changes later or try to get feedback directly on the call, they can share that preview URL, and then in addition to that, you're able to change your password protection as well. So you have the shareable URL that then will let you do password protection that you can set. And then in addition to that, we have OAuth. So like you have to have someone be logged into the account in order to be able to see the preview instance. So in here you can just set your password, and once it's set, then it's going to lock for anybody that's trying to view it. You can show and hide it, and then once you do that, it's going to lock that up for anybody that doesn't have that password. So that protects it for you and for your clients. And so now as I pull it up, you can see that. So now it's set, and then it'll let me view the site once I put it in. Why I made such a long password, no one knows. So, and then in addition to that, you also have OAuth. So that means that now we have to invite people, and they have to have access to Gatsby Preview in order to be able to even see it. So this one takes a second because I had to go to an incognito window too. So again, you can just set the access in a different way. And then require a login. And it'll tell you that it's updated, and again, I had to go do an incognito window, so you're going to see that. But what it's going to let me do then is when I put that link into that new tab, then I'm able to, I log in with GitHub so that it recognizes me, and then it knows that I'm part of that account. And so it will let me in. Yeah, so we will. We'll support different login providers as we start growing. So there's going to be not just GitHub, but other options as well. And then you're able to get in and see the site. So. And then another problem that we saw was sharing multiple options of site changes is hard. And we also talked about this a little bit today as well when we talked about having version history and being able to have different types of previews on the same URL. But right now what we're able to do is branch support. So we can select the site that we want to, the repo that we want to use. We can set our branch, and then you're also able to set the directory path if that's something that you need to do as well. And so it allows you to have a little bit more flexibility on how you're using Preview and where it's gonna, where it will show up. So we want to help people spend less time coordinating and more time creating. We want to be able to give that time back to you so that your teams are having a decreased feedback loop. It's easier to work together, and it's easier for both the developers and the content marketers to get what they need to get done more quickly. We're adding new CMS options, so Kyle showed Sanity earlier, and we are also doing discovery on several others. We had a good conversation about Drupal today as well. So we'll be adding those, and you can sign up at gatsbyjs.com/preview, and we can get you in and trialing it if you would like to do that. Thanks.